of all these different sectors, how they are distributed. So we want to find the fact. So this is the major motivation and introduction of our paper. So because right now our government's policy also trying to shift from production-based agriculture policy to a more system, the whole food system-based agriculture. We want to create more value added for our agriculture and for our consumers. So this is a very important topic that we need a very good matrix or indicator for policy guidance. So the methodology, very simple actually, just use the input-output table because they are regularly collected and compiled in our national statistics. So you don't need extra effort to do many collection. And this methodology actually developed by the USDA because they found the problem with their own methodology to find out the distribution share of each consumer dollar, and so they developed this new methodology using the input-output table, so they can find out actually the domestic produced the farm share from this input-output analysis. And so the input-output table, for everyone probably know that there's an important part is they can disaggregate the intermediate input and the final input, and also the horizontally is divide the intermediate demand and the final demand. And so this is a very typical example of input-output table. So you can see in the middle part, this is the very fundamental matrix of all how each sector are interrelated with each other. So the inverse of the coefficient of this matrix is the very famous Leontief matrix that you can calculate the forward and backward linkage effect of among all these industries. And so our study using the 166 sectors in 10 years from our national statistics, and then we can use this to construct the food dollar series and to understand the changes of farm share along the value chain. And also we follow the new methodology that we not only looking at this kind of marketing share, we also try to look into investigate how they can divide it into the all different supply chain group, because the food supply chain now can be disaggregated into 10 subsectors. So we want to see the distribution among them within these 10 sectors of the food supply chain. And then also we want to see all this supply chain development, how they actually contribute to the income, the actual income of each player in the market. And so this is the method. If you are interested, you can also read the manual of that, the marketing series in the USDA publication. But I just briefly introduced that the main issue here is that because we want to find out the domestic value added, so we need to eliminate the imports through import share. So this is how the United States government calculate the farm share that actually produced by the domestic farmers. But in Taiwan, because we already have an input-output table that separate the domestic production with the import, so we can use directly our domestic matrix to calculate the farm share. So we can simplify our calculation to some extent. And then for the second series that we want to further decompose into different the food supply chain into 10 subsectors, then we need to use another formula here that also we need to eliminate the import part and then only use the domestic part to calculate the value added among these 10 subsectors of food supply chain. And then, so this is the second part, that we decompose the value added into 10 sectors so that we can understand the distribution among the 10 players in this food market. And then the final part that we also further decompose by 4 primary sectors. Here we separate, this is based on the income, the income received by different players. So like the worker salary and the operating surplus, that means the owner's part, the earning, and then the tax and the fixed capital, like the depreciation and interest earned by the capital owner. So these are from the income perspective. We can further decompose into these 4 different sectors. Okay, so these are, and also because of we calculate over 10 years, so we need to do the price adjustment. So we use 2011 as the base year. So everything is in the real term, not the nominal term, that we can compare the trend. So these are our empirical results. So the first part is that we want to find out the farm share. So here is our result, that we found that farm share now is about 22% of the whole, for every dollar that consumers spend on their food, on their table. And the marketing sector occupies about 77%. In the U.S., it's about 20, also similar. And then this is the we try to explain why also the trend using this price index to see the changes over 10 years. And so the increase in international cereal price has lower the effects on the domestic food prices. Then therefore we found that because of the import that raised the wholesale price higher than our consumer price. But in the marketing series that we found that actually our the farm share has declined due to the imports. If we compare 2006 and 2011, the farm share has declined from 24% to 22%. Where in the U.S., the farm share actually did not decline. It actually increased from 14% to 15%. But obviously, their marketing share is higher than in the case of Taiwan. So these are there are the 2 major differences between if we compare Taiwan's result with the U.S. And then if we further decompose by the into 10 marketing sector, full marketing sector, that we found that the highest market share is in the food transaction. That means the wholesale and retail sector. And then followed by the food service, restaurant business, and then followed by the food processing, and then the last one is the farming and the agriculture sector. But of course, there are also other fuel energy sector. They're very, very tiny. But the major 4 player in the marketing channel is starting from the largest one is the wholesale and retailer.
Dr. Chan, 3 minutes, please.
Okay, yes. And then if we further decompose by the primary sector, then we found that workers' salaries occupy more than 55%. So this is the most earning goes to workers' salary, but then you can see also if we compare across time, it's declining rapidly. But the owner's part is the operator part is increasing. And so this is my final conclusion is that based on this input-output analysis, we can find out exactly how much share, what is the farm share in the consumer dollars. And so we suggest the government's need to help farmers to cope with the shrinking farm share over time. And also in the further decomposition, that we found that policy implication is that the agriculture development should consider how to help farmers scale up to become part of the supply chain and then partner with the food transaction and food service sector. This will be more effective in terms of helping them to cope with the trend. And then also the primary series, how we can cope with the aging farmer issue and finance the capital-intensive farming is our future problem, because this is also being the trend that we found. And also finally, in the formulation of the new paradigm for our agriculture policy, the government should concentrate also on how increasing the value added can help farmers, and also the concept of this value-added agriculture through cross-industry alliance, and also how to strengthen the tie between agriculture cooperatives and also the value-added industry should be the core of this new paradigm. So with this, I finish my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Chang. Dr. Chang proposed a new paradigm for the Taiwanese agricultural policy, i.e., the concept of value-added agriculture through cross-industry alliance. Thank you very much indeed. And we have just finished 6 paper presentation, and I'd like to ask Professor John from Chungnam National University to make comment on these 6 papers.
First of all, I'd like to really appreciate the scholars for presenting their outstanding studies. And it's a great honor to be a discussant at this huge working group session. The various studies present in this track were excellent work that provide great implication and insight for international trade communities and academics. And honestly, my major is international trade practice. This is a little bit different from presented topics, so it's hard to give some comments. However, it was a great opportunity to get to know about the current issues related from international trade at Asian countries. Also, it is an opportunity to experience diverse research methodology and how to approach to the research topics. So all the presentations were very interesting to me, and I have a few questions, but I will ask just one question because I believe we need break time. So in the first presentation, the article by Dr. Uji A deals with productivity spillover effect of FOE. So I just wonder what is the short-term effects of FOE on page maybe 4. So could you describe more thoroughly about the concept of the meaning and the short-term effect of FOE?
Maybe Miss Wu is missing. She should disappear. How can you deal with it?
I will ask later.
Okay. Distinguished presenters and ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to wrap up this first session by mentioning that we have found out that the Northeast Asian economies are interdependent and well connected from the perspective of global value chain. And Northeast Asian countries' economy should be prosperous through the cooperation and the free trade from now on. That is our conclusion from this trade day. Thank you very much. for your distinguished presentation and discussion. Okay? Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Also, I'd like to make comment. In this grand hall, we will soon have opening remarks, welcoming remarks, and congratulatory address and keynote speeches by Dr. Chung In-kyo, and in 15 minutes. Okay? Please don't leave and enjoy the short break and come back. Thank you very much.